Hey everybody, welcome back to Taboo Schitt, where we talk about good shit, dumb shit, real shit, and your shit. Today is a bonus episode I'm dropping in before our interview with Chance and receiving the male perspective. Let's jump into the topic of ASD, which is high functioning autism. I thought it was interesting that we didn't have more outspoken humans about their mental health conditions. And I believe our society, as much as we say we need all these things, it's like we still have this ego just sitting there blocking all of the progress that we need to make. This individual says it is a very unfortunate fact that many people will straight up look down on you for saying you have ASD. They tend to either not understand it and aren't willing to try to, or, at the very worst, immediately see you as inferior. Combine that with the fact that many people with our condition tend to be loners with no close friends. It can make an already lonely experience torturous. Not many people have the courage to do that. Coming from someone who has lived in a small town, I understand. Sometimes the negatives outweigh the positives. We are the free thinkers and we go against the grain of society. What society wants is to seek academic status so they know what and how much you know and or use it for the economy. Feeling they are exploding from the inside out because they have a machine in their brain and a subpar body in a superficial environment filled with greed and materialism. How can one relate to that when we are focusing on things that are far beyond the same interests, you know? I'm not saying heterotypical or, I mean, it's not of intelligence and scale of people hanging out or anything like that. It's just, I feel like these labels and categories are just created to almost manipulate certain aspects of our lives sometimes. In the academic world, people who are awkward and obsessive over worldly interests are called geniuses and get Nobel Prizes. In the blue collar world, people who are awkward and obsessive over worldly interests and who are deemed mentally ill or high functioning put on meds to calm our brains and then never be stimulated enough to have the energy to even try to find people similar. I don't know, it's just one of the perspectives. I just know society and the norm are more fascinated by status than anything of real value. Most people live to work and not work to live, causing stress and depression. Just another something I've been thinking about. So she responds, I fully agree with all of your points. I definitely most with your comment on the blue collar world. I find myself ostracized when my interests and worldviews did not click with theirs. It is incredibly frustrating to know how intelligent you are and at the same time not be able to engage in any meaningful discussion with anyone around you. I think in a different world my life would have been much easier if I had gone the academic route. Luckily, I am still young and there's time. Society is very obsessed with status, so much so that they often don't see people. They dehumanize you and chalk you up to a list of things that you lack in comparison to them. Anything good in you is ignored. I think I'm a bit jaded. It's really a shame. People with our condition are beautiful and brilliant a lot of the time. We are just never given a chance and often misunderstood. And my response back, I think you are absolutely correct. I chose to fight this judgment, these labels. I've worked hard to be able to support myself in a way where I can finally have rainbow colored hair and work building on a nonprofit for the unseen and undervalued. I feel like we get stuck trying too hard, never being seen, and then just letting go. It's so sad. I kept telling myself, where are these people, driven people like me? I honestly believed my family was just negative. I thought that I would finally soar out in the world, but this normie materialistic world we have is made to make people robots and self-unaware. It literally takes one human to save a human, to make them feel heard, valued, and accepted. Too many people are too busy thinking about what to enhance about themselves to even see the opportunities where they could be of service to others, let alone see their own weaknesses and struggles to grow their own selves. It absolutely sucks my soul out how much money is so suffocating and blocking for me to be the good I want to see in the world, where most won't move to do good without being paid. I am literally running to do good and limited, but others won't move unless they get something out of it. She responds, "You're right about many people being unaware of themselves. I think it's easier for NTs to be self-involved when there aren't that many situations that call for self-examination. I found my family negative at times too. Really, it was just that we didn't understand each other. We've learned to appreciate what the other has to offer. It doesn't take much to save someone. You are right. It only takes one person most of the time. It's why I think your podcast and nonprofit should exist. People like us are isolated, not only from most people, but each other. Having someone that's looking out for them is literally life-saving at times." And here is the second part of the bonus episode, a millennial's perspective versus a parental's perspective and society's ego. I don't believe in the status of parents that parents use when all we are individuals here just a few years later and trying to figure all this shit out as well. They shouldn't put themselves on pedestals of high authority and knowing everything. All it does is give children a reason to micro dissect every movement you make and not allow parents to be human and make mistakes. It causes so much bitterness, resentment, and dysfunction. Is this too deep to talk about with 16-year-olds? I don't think so. I think our society is making grown-up choices. Children making adult choices in a society where children can become millionaires overnight. It's a very interesting situation we are in society. That's all I'm saying. Children are going to make adult decisions in a society that allows children to act like adults. It is never too deep of a subject, I believe, that we should be talking about, period. I just know our generations are making choices too young about issues they have no depth of knowledge about. It's sad because everyone gets hurt in the end, even if it was meant to be. Dysfunction, stress, and failures can lead to success. However, so does a good environment, love, and support. Most women and children of our ancestors were married by 15. They were given the same choices at the ages of our millennials today. However, they were given the independence, support, and encouragement in their choices at younger ages, especially with the internet. Our youth are 10 times smarter than our ancestors were years ago at this age. We need to allow the youth to speak and learn, not told they don't know something or too young to understand. I believe if young adults got the respect they deserve, they wouldn't rebel. They would be more than willing to contribute into social economic growth, individual growth, and bringing balance into the world. I believe our millennials see their parents as primitive, old, not even aware of their world. And maybe they're not. The millennial generation is now the very first generation that will be raised without grandparents who were in huge wars, depression, really traumatizing events. I know my parents and ancestors all have traits derived from survival generational traditions, handed down generation after generation. Life-altering events. This gives us a catch-22. The millennials are smarter individuals, however, without the support or respect they need to grow without struggle. Pride and ego are the masks society wears to feed that ego. It is literally absurd. How we can't see from outside is beyond my understanding. However, I feel without this support, the millennials are hitting life and realizing it's harder than they thought, and that to survive life isn't knowing how to graduate. They were told they were amazing and special, then told they know nothing because they are a kid. Then they are stuck figuring out whatever they can without the world knowing any different than their ego shows. And they have to find out the hard way to survive. It's crazy. It is selfish. It's simple. It takes one life to save a life. It takes one life to help another's life. Humans survive because man sharpens man. It's literally how we became the top of the food chain. So to have all this going on in society is even more absurd. Just selfish. Black lives, blue lives, all lives. Come on, as if that isn't something we all know. We have not been through real slavery to have this unprecedented situation right now. That's all I'm saying. It's not hard to understand. If you're 16, 31, 65, respect, love, peace, harmony, and mercy. When did people forget about mercy? Goodness. I'm not saying there shouldn't be mandatory reforms or some kind of third-party company helping regulate government positions, because that needs to happen, obviously. But to be destructive is unacceptable. It's not legal. Protesting is legal. Riots causing harm, destruction, etc., that's crossing the line, because good never comes from destruction. It just doesn't. If you want to go real history, it's the Indians who this land was taken from and turned into something entirely different. Then Spain came to help fight and won the Alamo, thus creating Hispanics, Mexicans. I haven't heard Mexicans or Indians' lives matter. Just saying. Even Martin Luther King's niece said on Fox that they are saying justice before peace. However, she could say peace before justice. You know, I get it. How do we get justice? By defunding the police? Miss me with that nonsense. We protest. We are heard. We get laws changed. This situation doesn't even make sense, to say the least, that they're being so aggressive and rioting and destructive. Everyone's different in life. However, God gave me a mission to be the good I want to see in the world, and to inspire the uninspired, to inspire others. So I'm going to keep getting up each day, asking to be a blessing in someone's life, and anxiously await his blessings. It's all in God's timing, I'm sure. And with that, Taboo Schitt's timing is up. So y'all take care, have a great day, and your girl BK is out. Next episode, episode 10, is our interview with Chance. So I'll see you then. Bye.